point, the Charleston Battery and Phoenix Rising contest the 2023 USL Championship Final. The opening whistle from Elton Garcia. It is his first final. And for so many of these players, their first chance at silverware as well. Manjoma chasing and driven away by Trey Muse. Brought down by Williams. This Charleston team not in the top 5 in either scoring or defending, and that typically doesn't lend itself to a champion. And yet here they are. What a campaign. Dodson plays it wide. Ball circulated across, looping header backside will skip away from Tristan Traeger. Dev, what are you looking for early in this game to tell whether Charleston or Phoenix truly has the upper hand?
I mentioned the possession battle coming out of the lineup, and this is a Phoenix team that's going to want to win that. Said making you feel uncomfortable. How much are they actually going to be on the ball, and how much are the Charleston Battery going to be willing to chase? Phoenix at their best, they're going to push you 60-65% possession, and they have the depth to be able to do it and tire you out. Charleston Battery don't have the same luxury. As quality as they are and as balanced as they are, they want to do it with their first 11. If this game extends, that's going to favor the visitors.
Markanek puts it wide after the turnover by Phoenix. Arturo Rodriguez, a pair of goals in the postseason. Turns down Ikaza. Leland Archer, the 8th longest serving player for one team in the league right now. That overcooked beyond Fuenmayor and taken on by Rocco Rios Novo, the 2nd youngest goalkeeper in league history at 21 to record 100 saves, allowing just over a goal a contest. Both these teams missed the playoffs last year. Charleston came in with the longest odds of anybody in the league to win this trophy by the time it was over, and yet deep down I think neither of us are that surprised as Charleston whips a cross in that deflects out for a corner.
Now the run's impressive, and some of the things floating around on social media, you can understand why, but it shouldn't be unexpected because of the talent that's there and 2 very different paths to get to this point. Lee Cohen, Ben Pierman, the Charleston Battery, familiar faces from a Memphis squad for Ben Pierman that he brought over here to the East, and they've been in that top 4 spot all season long. It took Phoenix longer. They've got a deeper roster. They had to figure out what their starting 11 was going to look like, who were going to be the key players coming off of the bench, and yet, towards the tail end of the season, and for the 3rd time in the last 6 years, we're still talking about a Phoenix Rising team coming out as Western Conference champions and an opportunity for a star above the crest.
As ever in 2018, 2020, and now again in 23. Arturo Rodriguez prepares to send it into that mixer. Rodriguez delivers, Rios Novo drops back, and there was a foul. Transfer market once said Rios Novo was the most valuable player in the league. That was when he was acquired by Atlanta. He's come out to Phoenix and grabbed hold of the job with both hands. Such an impressive campaign for the Argentine Youth International. Stenberg. Segbers allows it out. His 7th appearance for Charleston, acquired from Miami.
Keep an eye on this back line. Their willingness to sit and allow some of the game to come to them. I'm not talking about the amount that they want the ball. I'm talking about the fact that they recognize the talent in front of them with Formela in the 9 and then Danny Trejos and Armanakis running at them to sit and allow some of the game to go side to side and then capitalize on the space in behind. That quick counter from either Segbers or Derek Dodson could be everything.
Ball through, Williams chasing, there's Rios Novo. Juan Guerra took over Phoenix at the end of last season, 4-5-1, and it's been an up and down campaign, unlike his fit game, Dev, which is always up. Incredible year for him as he's gotten this whole team believing, not obeying, and he's quick to make a clear differentiation between the two. Down goes Harvey.
August 22nd, 2022, and his journey from the Oakland roots all the way to Phoenix Rising. Friendly reminder, by the way, that if you're a USL Championship fan or if this is the first time experiencing the league, he's only been a head coach for just under 24 months, 22 to be exact. So we can talk about, okay, this is great, that's what they've done, and his ability tactically to be a masterclass, and yet he's only been at the helm for just under 2 years. The journey has been incredible for him.
Yeah, we spoke to him yesterday. He got the job in Oakland Christmas Day of 2021, and really it has not stopped for him since. He and Bobby Dooley bringing in 21 new players year over year. Ball rolled forward by Traore, taken away by Charleston, brought down by Williams. Clips it through for Markanek. Deserving applause to keep this in. And taken away by Traore and Harvey. Zikaza went down. And now a foul.
I'm not happy with the head official with a possible handball and what certainly looked to be a foul in from behind. Emilio Zikaza, contact, no doubt about that. Possible mishandball just prior. Referee says play on. And this is something you want to keep an eye on for players. It's a final, it's emotional, it's difficult to manage. Those are things that when you get into these pressure-packed situations, sometimes, Mike, it's not about tactics or the amount of shots, it's how well can you manage the overall mental game to be as efficient as you were all season long.
Dev, as a center back, was it first touch, first tackle, first contact? What turned it for you when you played in big games?
I always sent a message. I always stepped out right away and made sure that everybody knew that if they were stepping into enemy territory, they were going to have a problem to deal with. But I also encouraged my front line. I wanted to spring a 30, 40-yard ball up over the top and test the opposition.
Formella hit King, and King sends that bleacher bound. Charleston, led by Ben Pierman, came over as the reigning coach of the year from Memphis. And don't allow his time at Michigan State winning the Big Ten Sportsmanship Award deter you from the fact that he coaches with a little bit of fire, too.
You have to say that one of the best personalities on the sideline in the USL Championship, Ben Pierman. Success everywhere he's gone. Big Ten and Michigan State, 901 FC. What he was able to produce last year, and certainly the turnaround that saw almost 3/4 of his roster in rebuild mode coming into the season, and yet the results quite similar.
Markanek gliding along the end line, contact, referee looks in, wags his finger, no. And there is no VAR in the championship, inclusive of the final. And the first big decision for Elton Garcia tonight. Dodson, now Archer. Chris Allen. Harvey. Harvey dictates. Lunjoma. He got stood up. Effective from Ikaza. Field from Traeger. Kept in by Williams. And now Harvey. Trejo. Ikaza lifted in behind, away from Traeger. Into Trejo. What an acquisition he's been. 33 goals the last 2 years. Sought the return, there goes Trejo! Kicked away before it ever got to Muse. Nearly right on cue for the dynamic 25-year-old Mexican goal scorer.
I told you, driving at the center of the back line, the overlapping space, and you just lose him in transition here. They got to remember, he's the initial ball player. His touch just escapes him. That one right there. He's trying to bring it back to the inside to open up the angle, get it on his right foot, but just not as clean as he'd like it to be. Incredible hold-up play. by Dark Mela in the 9 spot. That's where they get you. They spread you wide, the underlapping runs. That's a conversation for the back line of the Charleston Battery with guys like Chris Allen and Emilio Icaza in front to track the runners and close the space down.
It was Allen, the holding midfielder, that arrived in the nick of time. Jose Hernandez, part of the 2017 title team at Real Monarchs, drives across, header speared away. Ball muscled away from Traore. That's going to come with a card. First of the night goes to Mohamed Traore, the 21-year-old Senegalese player acquired on loan from LAFC.
Here's the problem you run into if you're a player. Traore knows he got himself into trouble here, but there's a precedent set by the referee 10 minutes in of what you can and cannot get away with, and he's let them play. So the challenge from behind, yellow card, warranted. You also feel like that runway is a little bit longer, Mike, because of the physicality we've seen so far.
So the kind of final you want to play.
I'm all about it. I'd still be running, dragging it to the ground. Handing out cards myself.
Oh, that's a dangerous ball that Formella ran in on. And Muse puts it out to touch. Hernandez. Collision both ways. It's King that commits the foul. Darnell King, former forward at FAU, did admit, you put me up top, see what happens. He's still got some goals in those legs. They're playing him at wingback tonight.
Don't tell him that he doesn't. And this man has got an incredible amount of confidence within the professional game, used all over the pitch. Seen a lot, done a lot, certainly in a Phoenix Rising uniform, the lone remaining member, as we know it in this iteration from the squad that went to the 2020 final that never was.
Oh, you admit it now.
On national television, I'll let you know that it did in fact happen, regardless of the fact that no scoreline was put out.
Yeah, all right. Off the mark from Rodriguez. You know, the thing about Darnell King that really stands out to me is the leadership qualities that he brings. And there was a game against New Mexico in 2021 where Phoenix really only had 5 healthy first-team players, but had to go through with playing the game. Did. He was the captain of that team with a lot of academy guys. And this deflected en route from Njoma. He said, I call the academy guys to this day. They're my teammates. They're looking to me as a path forward. You have to love that overarching view from your longest tenured player.
This is a guy that midway through the season was happy just to be on the bench. A guy that wore the captain's armband for quite a long period of time, and to be pushed out of that, and all of a sudden you're the mainstay back on that right flank like that Western Conference title-winning team a few years ago. The resurgence of form. Astounding in the best of ways for Darnell King and Phoenix Rising.
Williams, it was just an entanglement of feet. Runs by King, and Markanek is down. You know, Dev, they brought in Markanek in part because they were trying to figure out how to handle the wide attacking player position. Turns out Ben Pierman had a really good one. He's not here tonight because he's busy in Indonesia with Mexico, the Under-17 World Cup. Fidel Barajas named All-League, The Guardian naming him one of the most promising young players in the world. And Markanek, especially in Barajas' absence, has been excellent in these playoffs.
It's a massive loss, and it's just a different profile of player that you get between Fidel Barajas and Tristan Traeger, who's moved over to this right-hand side in his absence. A little bit more one-on-one, really dangerous. Fidel Barajas from dead ball situations, and you know, he's got an uncanny ability to open up space for himself. Tristan Traeger, a bit more wide open of a player, the guys that get down to the end line.
That found Augie Williams in an offside position. But it was naturally going to look a little different tonight, right? Whether it's Traeger or Markanek on either side, without Barajas, another look at Augie Williams trying to sneak through.
But still the same look, and you get that spearhead up talk in Augustine Williams, who, you this is a tendency of his. He gets caught at times ball watching, gets himself into really good spots, but the opportunities that are there are plenty. 15 goals on the season. If he can tighten that up, just the bending, the timing of those runs a little bit better, you're looking at a 20-plus goal scorer.
Turned over by Armenakis, carried forward by Charleston into the penalty area. That ricochets out. A battery corner won by Chris Allen. What do you like on set pieces for this Charleston team?
There's a bunch of different looks that they give you, Mike. I think the most important thing is they keep you guessing. They've got some behind-the-scenes words that, let's just say, I'm not allowed to put it out on air, getting the scouting report that Ben Pierman was kind enough to give me. But, the overloads to the near post, the back post, sometimes clever to the top, but always challenging with multiple runners in the same area to confuse you.
Arturo Rodriguez by his lonesome. Rodriguez near post, attempt to flick that on. Bicycle kick sent toward goal and away. It was Markanek that twisted and contorted to send that toward Rios Novo. That would have been a wake-up call. Push in the back, free kick, Charleston.
You asked me what I like. It's so many players that just have the ability on the second and third ball. Again, multiple runners to the near post, they overload, but it's actually the second chance. And how good is this? From Traore, right on the line. Rios Novo just positioned a little bit further to his left than he'd like, and yet center back steps right up with the clearance. Excellent defending.
10 goals for Markanek this year, does have one in the postseason. And his twin brother making pretty good as well at St. Louis City. Rodriguez, 2 years in Phoenix after being the Young Player of the Year and the MVP in League One. Rodriguez hangs up looking for Dodson. Rios Novo allows it out. Seemingly a pretty chaotic start here at the sold-out stadium at Patriots Point, home to the College of Charleston as well. Battery long had their own soccer-specific stadium here on a nearby island. 4 years ago, Rob Salvatore takes over the team, moves into this venue. A lot of adjustments made to the footprint here, and the fans have certainly come out in droves for it. Phoenix angling wide. End line. Peels in all directions. This will be a corner, won by Armenakis. Armenakis curls the corner. Kept away from Formella. King blasting. Swing and a miss from Traore. They'll say that was by design. It's rolled back by Stenberg. Look at how quickly that Charleston back line stepped. Formella, the target, acquired midseason from Oakland. Upfield from Ikaza. Emilio Ikaza once more. Ikaza dips in behind. And helped to take it away illicitly.
There's an interesting little back and forth right now, though, for the Charleston Battery. I talked about the possession game and trying to make sure they keep that number close. They carried 62% after 5 minutes, but that number's dwindled. Phoenix almost near 60, and yet the press becoming more prevalent. The last 3 times they've stepped up and pressed into the final third, they've been able to gain possession on their own. So it's on their own terms right now. Not able to carry side to side as much as they would have liked, but aggressive in nature up top, chasing to cause the turnovers themselves.
For more on that, down to Sarah Gordon on the sideline. Sarah.
Phoenix is obviously struggling to build out of the back, specifically off of their goal kicks, and I can hear the Phoenix coaching staff telling defensive players to drive with the ball to really open up small gaps on the field and really get something started.
Thank you, Sarah. Carried forward here by Traeger. Heavy touch inward, intercepted by Hernandez. Harvey. Sliding in, Markanek took it away. Drives in, Hernandez was stymied. Dotson. Dotson recovers, sends an early ball. And out to stay with Charleston. Battery a 34-point turnaround from the bottom of the East to third. The top two seeds in the East ousted in the first round, Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay this year. Nobody was safe on the opening day of the playoffs just less than a month ago. Harvey couldn't hang on. And, you know, Ben Pierman actually quoted Tom Izzo, you need to be good, need a little bit of luck, and you need a higher seed to lose. That's how Michigan State wins national championships. That's how he thought Charleston could get to this point. But even he would admit no one could have anticipated this. Markanek, covered by Rios Novo. Dev, I know this excites you. eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. Free to play. Download now.
The day that a video game system ends up in my home is the day that I've got a real problem with my wife.
I think it might be the day your third child moves out.
There you go. Yeah. I'll invest behind the scenes until then.
Understood.
You know, start the man cave early.
Kaza knocks it over. Rodriguez trying to work off of Traeger. Midway point of the first half. Phoenix has left it to the final 5 minutes in all 3 of their playoff wins, 2 of them in extra time. Charleston jumped on Louisville in the Eastern Conference final in just the 5th minute. And Arturo Rodriguez, free kick masterclass. Never trailed.
Just look how deep Enos Armenakis is on the right-hand side. Danny Trejo has taken up an interesting position over the past couple of minutes, coming down underneath, and he's trying to find some space to operate within, eliminate some of the balls into the midfield, and yet Charleston Battery doing a real good job of still bypassing that. You know, I said to you, they're linear in nature. Their style is A to B to C. They don't really vary tactically of how they're trying to break you down. Even when you know something's coming, they're still able to get around you. That's the greatness of this Charleston Battery squad and what Ben Pierman brings to the game.
It's what he brought to the game in Detroit, Memphis, now here in Charleston. Nothing but success. The first-year Battery manager. It's with King. Plenty of tugging on the jersey. Fuenmayor held it up effectively enough. It'll play Rios Novo. You got to give Rocco Rios Novo some credit. There is not a pass out of the back that he's afraid of. Traore settles.
The idea overall is to get him involved as much as possible, basically acting like a fourth defender. You move the left side a little bit further, adds a dimension to the attack to allow you to get into moments like this.
King rolling central, and Leland Archer up to the task.
This is the biggest difference between the Eastern Conference Final and what's playing out right now for the Charleston Battery. In the Eastern Conference Final, the Battery eliminated the midfield for Lou City and also eliminated the wings. Right now, Phoenix doing a really good job working back into it. Some shape-shifting by Danny Trejo. Armenakis a little bit deeper. Defensively, it is a concern because he's got to come from such an extended position to get into the attack. But with that aggression that we talked about in the press for the Battery, that makes you on the back line, make that first step, go beat the first player, then you have that second and third option to open up space going forward.
The Rising manager looks on. They can shapeshift because there is so much versatility in the attacking pieces for this Phoenix team.
Well, you've also got guys like Carlos Harvey and Jose Hernandez, who have seen a thing or two. Full Panamanian international, an absolute bulldog for Phoenix Rising on the inside. And then that man right there, the ever steady. It's a midfield that has seen a couple of different variations this season for them. Renzo Zambrano involved in that. Emil Cuejo we can talk about later on because he's been the super sub that has gotten Phoenix Rising to this title game. But Jose Hernandez is the one that you really want to make sure you get going. He sets the tempo, starts on the back line, but building off Jose Hernandez has to be a staple.
Traeger, a little more room inside than he anticipated. Formella pushed off by Allen, retains. Angles through midfield, found Trejo. Rolls it ahead into an offside position. That was just half a second off from being through.
This ball, it's got to be a bigger shout on the left-hand flank because it's a beautiful run by Manjoma. Hit it now, now, now. You're a second and a half behind. That's why Danny Trejo gets stuck in an offside position. Great job by the back line and that quick little step up by the Battery to help their cause.
Dodson pushed away. Manjoma going at it. Dodson ran out of real estate. Charleston Battery seek their 5th league title. They did it as the 3 seed back in 2012 as well, their most recent appearance on this stage. Phoenix 3 Western Conference titles and now seeking their first championship final victory. They had that incredible run with Didier Drogba, part of the ownership group, brought in. The final game of his career was a championship final in Louisville, Kentucky. Pushed inside by Formella, Hernandez forward, Armenakis contemplative. There's a lot of space out here. Fuenmayor, King, the wingback, extending. Turned down Armenakis into Trejo. Rodriguez gave chase, chipped over to Harvey, but it wrong-sided him. Traeger taken on by Harvey. Harvey, Devin mentioned, full Panamanian international, acquired off the Galaxy. They could not believe he was available. What a piece he's been in midfield for Rising this year. Stenberg, Traore at full speed. Manjoma dancing, Manjoma crossing, found King on the backside. Armenakis. Wrong-sided Hernandez, and Charleston springs into the attack. Allen charging. Spotted Williams. Augie Williams across, and Chris Allen never stopped running. Formella the other way. Dodson.
little shape change for Phoenix Rising. Eric Formela really struggling to get the 9 going as he drops down in. And Trejo comes a little higher, but they've actually dropped Jose Hernandez and brought Panos to the inside. Create a nice little box and triangle, the way that they spin off of each other. It's challenging the shape of the Charleston battery. Arturo Rodriguez having to come deeper defensively. Haven't been able to get as much pressure on that front line as we saw in the opening 20 minutes of the match.
A bit perplexed. Phoenix retain in the back. Need to find a gap. Stenberg. Joma, space. Jose Hernandez out wide from Trejo. Manjoma, Trejo. That might be your X factor. Trey Muse, or so said Ben Pierman yesterday. You've been following him a long time, Dev.
Since his time at Indiana, Big Ten champion, and a guy that is very well versed in competition at the collegiate level. I'm not sure there's any better that teach you how to go and fight through a game. But then the evolution as a goalkeeper himself, this is a big one, ball at his feet, trying to tidy that up. Becomes a bit more expansive. Certainly his counterpart in Rocco Rios Novo knows all about that. One of the cleaner ones that, again, that added dimension where you're not having to rely on one of your defenders in the build-up process. Helps draw out more space, more players, and then eventually the idea is to try and play in behind that. I would say that the ebbs and flows of that conversation tonight is varying drastically for both teams.
Ikaza. Back from Segbers.
And this is where they're going to run into a problem, the Charleston battery. If Phoenix drops and barricades themselves, sits in this low block, you need someone to go beat someone, but you need that extra player, Mike, and it's a bit hesitant at the outside back spot from Segbers and Derek Dotson for my liking. It allows you as Phoenix to just keep the entire game in front of you, so even if that first one misses, if you get an Arturo Rodriguez and Ikaza coming out of the midfield, they've still got the numbers game, and they can pass side to side, and it's not an issue. I'd love to see one of these guys spinning off the outside. You catch an extra inversion, an extra player, and all of a sudden, if you're a defender on Phoenix Rising, you're trying to guess where that threat is coming from.
Harvey got held. Quick restart off the foul by Ikaza. 4 former Memphis players, 3 former Phoenix players on this battery roster. Manjoma, Dotson up to the task. You know, he's done all right for trying this outside back thing for about a year and a half. He led the league in ball recoveries, or among the best in the league as a forward. Ben Pierman goes, I'm going to try it right back. He thought it was a joke. It's not a joke. Derek Dotson could very well be playing in MLS next year. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah, an All-Big East player that scored 32 goals at the collegiate level, won a national title. Ben Pierman brought him to Memphis to be the backup number 9.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you said, you know what? Not too shabby. And yet all the stops that he's been at so far just continues to cultivate his game in a positive manner.
Trejo. Arturo Rodriguez has been a little bit everywhere tonight. 60% of the ball for Phoenix in the first 35 minutes tonight. You were asking coming into the game just how much possession are you willing to cede in a game like this? There, I suppose, is your answer.
Yeah, the numbers jumping up and down, though. They've gotten it back to 50-50, and all of a sudden, Phoenix out in front again. This is what the Battery are looking for, though, and trying to find a way to get the extra breakdown. That's a way.
Segber's got there. Markanic! He's been knocking on the door. He knocks it down. Nick Markanic puts the Battery ahead.
So we said, if they sit, how do you find that X factor? How do you find a way to stretch the game and give you that ability to ask another question? What did we ask more of? Either Derek Dotson or Mark Segbers. This is an incredible ball. They shift you side to side. Ikaza head up and off they're running. Exactly what you want. You get the high line of Segbers. Phoenix hasn't seen it all game long. Armanakis positionally doesn't catch the run. The inversion by Markanic. He was the key component that set up the set piece for Arturo Rodriguez and the opening goal in the Eastern Conference Final. What a finish. What a move. What a goal by the Charleston Battery.
His second of the playoffs. His 11th in USL competitions this year. And it takes a lot to really put yourself in Battery lore. That goal might be it. The 36th minute, and Charleston, the longest odds in the league to win the title this year, lead the final. And now the impetus on Phoenix Rising. They've made nothing easy in these playoffs. So would you expect anything less? They conceded in the 31st minute of the Western Conference Final to Russell Cicerone of Sacramento on the road, and still they came back to win. Turned over to Markanic. Spotted the wide run of Traeger. Traeger cuts. Traeger sends it wide, and that may have lit this candle.
Again, it's the long ball up over the top by Emilio Ikaza. Good job jumping underneath. Look at that little jump up off the deck. I mean, the level of difficulty here for Nick Markanic. So difficult. The way that it jumps up off, it's got a little bit of a spin, almost a kiss of death at times for a player, having to adjust, taking it out of the air, and yet still redirecting it, taking some of the sting off into the ground, away from the goalkeeper. Truly a masterclass finish by the young man on the outside for the Battery.
Oh. Williams continues advantage play. Sidesteps through. Williams, Rodriguez, toward goal, and away by Rios Novo off the deflection. Whoa, Jose Hernandez put a little English on that.
Momentum about everything right now, and Phoenix Rising need to be very careful after the goal. Brought everybody together, quick conversation, but their speed of play is dropping. For as much as they've been on it and they've moved the Charleston Battery, they're starting to miss some of their runners. They're taking chances, possessionally coming forward, but with all the space that's being left in behind, this is communication, cueing everybody. If we miss, where's the attacking defending to make sure we're not being broken down? They're missing the boat right now.
Rodriguez has hit corners exclusively from the other side tonight. You know, these are big games for referees as well. Elton Garcia, the former referee of the year in the championship, Has a lot of eyes on him this evening, as you would anticipate. The fourth tonight is Natalie Simon, who's had a historic year, Nick Balser, and Mike Nickerson working the lines. Rodriguez, the corner. Driven header toward goal. Harvey sends it soaring over the bar. That got hit with absolute venom from Palma, the center back.
Just a delayed run. Smart by the Charleston Battery. 6'2", but it's a very delayed run, and they don't catch the runner. Derek Dotson on the rotation, made himself to the top. Palma opened it up, and then Dotson just strikes right through it. Both Carlos Harvey and Mo Traore on the back line for Phoenix tonight, Saviors.
Rodriguez crossing, that skipped through. And now Fuenmayor picks his head up. The white jerseys are surging forward. There's Harvey. And it's Augie Williams, the striker, who helps to take it away. Charleston this year, by the way, 16 wins, a loss, and 3 draws in the previous 20 instances in which they scored first. Header slipped through, seeking Williams, Rios, Novo. Down goes Dodson. By the way, coming up at halftime, Dev, I think it's time that we, to be fair, didn't have a vote in this, but we'll announce the player of the year for the championship. And that player is in the house tonight. So we'll reveal that. We'll also take a look at highlights and stats, the storylines from around the league, and what's been a historic season for the United Soccer League. Whoa, watch out there, Ben.
He's having some trouble right now, Juan Guerra, and getting his guys on the same page here. They've almost shifted into a 4 on that right-hand side with Darnell King deep. Wide open space, give it to him.
Armanakis finds King. Center, past Trejo. And did not reach Manjoma.
Just seeing that view sooner. Like that run is perfect from Darnell King, but everything just delayed a half second. Just like the run we saw from Danny Trejo on the front line in the offside position. Quicker decision making, but I like the shift overall. It's a bit more of an emphasis on Fuenmayor on the right-hand side. He's got to handle the space by Augie Williams and Arturo Rodriguez if the press comes. But possessionally, you widen things out. Darnell King comes higher. That frees up space just in front of the back line for Armanakis and Trejo to play in combination.
Armanakis. Trejo. Muscled off the ball by Archer. Rolled wide by Traeger, advantage play. Augie Williams looks up. Williams crossing. Deflects away, still it's Rodriguez. Gives it to Markanek. He's trying to navigate and commits the foul at the end. Markanek, the goal scorer in the 36th minute, looking to double his money.
What was the conversation we had a couple of minutes ago about the offensive defending for Phoenix Rising? When they come in possession, watch all the space on the turnover that they leave in behind. And this is the issue. You rotate high on one side, that's fine, but you got to make sure you have proper coverage. And so Stenberg has to come back to the inside. Fuenmayor was out of position. He had rotated over. Very fortunate on the poor touch on the backside by the Charleston Battery. Could have easily been a second of the night.
Harvey. Traore. Stenberg. King. Allen. Hernandez rose with it, pulled in by Darnell King. Trejo. Look at Trejo go. Swings it off of Allen. Segbers went down and whittles his way forward. Through a lot of traffic. And a rising foul right in front of the rising fan support. Big shocker. There's a giant red blotch in this black and yellow venue. All the Phoenix fans making the cross-country journey. To have the support from this Phoenix team over the years. You know, you talk to Juan Guerra about it. Everyone feels it, right? It's pretty magnificent how much they care and how well they know the game.
Well, it really started 2017, but the success that they experienced in 2018, Western Conference champions, making it all the way till the title game, falling just short against Louisville, but it was the road game in the Western Conference final at Orange County where they turned it into their home fortress, Championship Soccer Stadium. Something different here tonight, Mike, because emotionally they're rattled. They're frustrated in this game. They're trying to find a stranglehold in the midfield. They've chased a lot, but credit to the Charleston Battery, because outside of the opening 10 minutes, they started to struggle, finding out where the possession pieces were going to come from. Could you find a way to break out of play at him to allow the space around to open up, and especially that pocket in front of the back line. That's where they're at their best.
On to the second half of play. We will crown a champion tonight. Phoenix for the first time, or Charleston for the 5th. Intriguingly enough, Dev, so often we get those awkward road team winning the title moments that doesn't have a lot of noise. The Battery, all 5 of their titles have happened on home ground.
Well, and
if they get one tonight.
USL Championship history dating back to the modern era as we know it in 2011, only 2 teams on the road have ever won a title. That's the 2019 team of the Real Monarchs, who took down Lou City, and then most recently 2021 Orange County on the road against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. One of the more difficult things to do in USL Championship history.
Plenty of jostling. Williams shielding this to the line for a corner. I know what we were doing at halftime. That guy was getting a hot dog. That guy is a hot dog.
Now, we've talked all season long and even last year about the opportunity to come here and go experience that food court on the north side of the stadium. Didn't get that pretzel or the nacho cheese. The little things are what makes life great, Mike. You had one job at halftime, you couldn't even do it.
Arturo Rodriguez drives a high arcing service to the backside. Rios Novo goes wiping it away. Recovered by Allen. Crossing, bouncing, Williams. The flag has gone up. It is pretty cool what they've done here at this venue. Adding the pavilion, you know, over in that corner, there are dozens of Battery alumni, if you want to call it that, including Mike Anhauser, the coach and former player that gave over a quarter century of his life to this club. Was dismissed a couple years ago. Battery have so much history in this house tonight, and they've accented it nicely.
It's a true testament to what they've been able to accomplish so far. And I'm not talking about the 1-0 after 45 minutes. Mike Anhauser is serving as both player and coach for.
Well, that was a tad awkward. Koenig and King. No harm, no foul, I suppose.
No, and they're going quickly over the top here for the Charleston Battery. Just keep an eye on Markanek in behind here, just limping. Coming out of the knock that he picked up underneath. Again, don't be predictable. And the Charleston Battery, as the game has evolved, have certainly not done that. Found some success on the inside. They've been able to move Phoenix horizontally. The vertical stretch is what separates us both right now. 36 minutes in from Mark Segburst to Nick Markanek for the opener.
Rodriguez will chase down the second. Allen. Palmo had a domineering header in the first half. Carlos Harvey was able to intervene upon. This will roll all the way out. Let's go down to Sarah Gordon, who caught up with both Ben Pierman and Juan Guerra at the half.
I spoke with Phoenix coaching staff at half, and their message was every time they get into the final third, they want something out of it, whether it's a chance, a corner kick, or just a goal. They want to see more of that. And as for Charleston, the halftime message was all about tweaking the press, really making sure that the center mid is up behind the forward line when they're pressing, and really making sure that's perfect to get a chance off of that.
Thank you, Sarah. This up and away by Traore.
To the point by the Phoenix staff in the first half. You have 59% possession. You only get 2 shots out of it and none on goal. And yet Charleston, that possessional battle, they don't want it to vary any further than that 41 to 42% line. It goes past 40, they're in trouble. They were efficient. 7 shots and 2 on frame. But that intermittent press that we talked about, if it is Arturo Rodriguez going up to Augie Williams, that's on Emilio Icaza or Chris Allen, to her point of finding a way to bridge that gap in the midfield, not unless Phoenix Rising to escape their defensive half.
Rodriguez, header steered by Dodson.
Brought
Brought down by Ikaza and cleared away. Now these teams met March the 11th, a 1-1 draw here in Charleston. That was opening day, and here they are pulling the curtain down at the end of the season. Both these coaches were in the midst of coaching license courses in the days leading up to that. Ben Pierman's press was actually a starring role in that discussion. Actually showed the presentation in front of his classmate Juan Guerra what they'd be doing against Phoenix 3 days later. Ball stabbed free and comes down to Rodriguez, who tees up Dodson. Traore walks this out. You mentioned at halftime, you thought maybe these coaches knew each other well enough, and not just off the field friends, they're taking the coaching course together, that maybe this would be a stalemate. And alas, that's how we've gotten it all.
U.S. Soccer Pro coach actually started last December, and they just happened to be in the 6-person grouping earlier on this season, and the presentation that had to be. Turns out that Juan Guerra and Ben Pierman, they got to know each other maybe a little bit more than they anticipated, given the fact that the full tactical breakdown being given ended up being utilized appropriately in their 1-1 draw back in March. Quite fitting that that's where we started, and now the culmination of the entire 34-game season is here at Patriots Point.
Both their first full season at the club. Pierman took over for leaving Memphis at the end of last year, failing to agree to a new deal. Guerra leaving Oakland midway through last season. We'll go racing by Traeger. Sold out Patriots Point. Phoenix, the final third. They were offside once more. Temperatures in the low 50s, and yet the final allotment of tickets they put out on Thursday was gone in a little over an hour.
I didn't get one, by the way.
Buddy, you're here.
I found it a little offensive that I wasn't able to get a ticket.
You are the ticket.
You just don't have to pay for it, right?
No.
That's the juice worth the squeeze. That's the question. What a touch.
Oh, wow. Angling inward, Traeger. Rodriguez bounces away to Hernandez. Picked back up by Allen. Tried to leave it for Dodson. And Phoenix rolling ahead. Formella got the end line. Lays it across. Armenakis was late arriving. Trying to get on the inside of Segbers. First chance, it's felt like Phoenix could make Charleston quake in their boots a bit.
The space is there if you're willing to step into it. That's the real question is, you know, how much are you willing to really push the tempo there, Mike? Because it got them into trouble towards the tail end of the first half. It's certainly where they ended up with the opportunity to be broken down. And Charleston Battery stepped in nicely.
Linjoma.
It's just finding that balance on both sides.
Armenakis. Brought down by Harvey, rolls, deflects, outside the width of the goal.
A back and forth affair for about 90 seconds here, and yet good second press here by Phoenix Rising. And just watch the body sitting right at the top of the 6. This is where you have to be careful if you're the Battery. Everybody's worried about Danny Trejo, understandably so. But you go the vertical route to the backside. That second ball is always coming square back across. Both Dark Formella and Carlos Harvey are the ones that you want to try and play off of. And Harvey, 9 times out of 10, he buries that. He's got to be cleaner on the ball.
This is off the training ground. Hernandez bouncing to the top. Driven down to Muse. I know goalkeepers are typically tall. Trey Muse is huge in person. You and I aren't small guys. Trey's a human skyscraper. just hadn't realized.
I will tell you that the air is preferred up here.
Into Formella. He got overtaken. And that's a free kick for Phoenix in a reasonably intriguing position.
Target man in the 9, Formella. Better. Unfortunately for Phoenix Rising, most of his touches in the first half were in this fashion. And the idea is to be able to play into him, open up space laterally, runs in behind, and they've really only gotten one of those right. He comes in, you play into him, you don't have the secondary ball to the side, you don't have the quick touch and then the ball up over the top, so they've had to retreat, explore another avenue.
Free kick. Formella. Spins by Fuenmayor. Phoenix starting to contemplate some subs, and notably, Dev, you leave one of the most dynamic scorers in the league on the bench throughout this playoff run. So Manuel Arteaga could find his way into this game at some point, and Rising preparing to make a couple of adjustments in the near term as well. I asked Juan Guerra yesterday, who's your X factor? He said, I think it's going to come off the bench, which tracks for how their postseason run has been. 3 winning goals in this postseason run. 119th, 116th, and 90+2. Pirouetting out of harm's way. Kaza played down the line. First changes of the night. So Renzo Zambrano has previously won the Armenian Premiership, and MLS is back with the Timbers, and Erickson Gallardo, who entered in from Toronto, where he was part of that Champions League final run, an MLS Cup appearance.
I mentioned earlier in the match that Renzo Zambrano was really one of the choices you're trying to figure out, paired next to Jose Hernandez. Now, Jose Hernandez is that steady Eddie, controls tempo, but they don't need control right now. They need advancement, and that's what they're struggling with centrally. You know, that ball into the 9 and having the second player to come off of. The front 3 are so wide that that's going to rest on the shoulders of Carlos Harvey and Renzo Zambrano to close that gap and give them support. Erickson Gallardo, by the way, what an option. Playing him on either flank right now. A lot of times they go with Uzo first, but Zambrano, pressure-packed situations. You talked about Toronto, Zamora as well, and of course the international squad with Venezuela. He's seen some things, he's been through it at a multitude of levels. This is where you want that calm hand to just step in and provide you a spark in a match on the outside.
Lanchoma. Fuenmayor. Behind by Archer. Phoenix hoping there's just one more of those wild late moments. The Apple Watch that's worn by Juan Guerra, by his estimation, has told him he could die about 5 times a game in this playoff run based on how his heart started to race. This has left a lot of fans with palpitations, and with another half hour to play, you'd imagine still plenty of drama to be dished. Harvey. Stenberg. Fuenmayor now the former Open Cup champ at Houston. The last time they won the Open Cup, not the most recent. Harvey sweeps to Armenakis down the line. Manjoma, Harvey, Ikaza. Ikaza's got some words for Harvey too. Ikaza's been the one giving the speech in the dressing room before coming out the last few weeks. Got a few words for Harvey after this.
Be careful what you wish for, though, angering someone like Carlos Harvey, who is all physical, all emotion. Just the dragging cleat. Watch the follow through. Thanks for coming. Love the relationship we've gotten on the inside tonight for the Charleston Battery with Chris Allen and Emilio Ikaza. Good balance between. One drops, one goes. They go side by side. As the play rotates, so do they. It's the beautiful ball by Emilio Ikaza to Mark Segbers that opened up this game to give them the 1-0 lead.
Ikaza knows a thing or two about leaving Phoenix on the wrong end of a playoff result. It's part of the RGV team that knocked them off 2 years ago. Ball picked up. Armenakis, Manjoma slicing, settled, and high by Erickson Gallardo.
Hard to believe that he's only 27 years old, Erickson Gallardo, for a pro that we've seen on the circuit for 9 years, but just look at the calming presence. Again, a guy that's seen so much, driving centrally, pulling players with him. Ball's got to be a bit cleaner to the outside quicker. That touch to the outside, anticipation by Eddie Manjoma. If he comes a bit wider, he can step into that first time, Mike, or the first touch brings him closer to the end line, opens up better space to cut it back across.
Rodriguez, advantage play. Better snapped down by Fuenmayor. Trejo is testing that back line. It comes to Harvey. Has the wide run of Gallardo. Slipping, never quite reached Formella. Rodriguez overtaken. Charleston will go to their bench for the first time. Beto Avila off the bench, the 23-year-old native Texan acquired on loan from Houston back in May. And that's it for Tristan Traeger, the Air Force former WAC Offensive Player of the Year who had to get a waiver from the Secretary of Defense to be able to play pro soccer before his service. Charleston has a rich history. The regiment battery is not cell phone battery, if that's unclear. They actually spell that out quite clearly to us.
On that move by Erickson Gallardo, the first shot we've gotten for Phoenix Rising in the last 3/4 of an hour, the 18th minute mark.
Avila hits the cross. Let's get a skip away from Marcanic.
I talk about having key moments within a match, right? The momentum swings as well. This is an emotional squad, Phoenix Rising, with a lot of very gifted individual players, and all the touches are great. Unlocking them side to side is fine, but you've got to give them some confidence, got to put some balls out in front of them, allow that front three to combine. They haven't had enough of that. So we can talk about the 9 coming down and playing off of him, getting Trenny Trejo involved, the expansion from Panos Armenakis on the right-hand side, but they haven't been able to do any of that.
Well put.
I still go back to this midfield argument, though, within that. You step through. Again, the amount that you're getting workload-wise from Chris Allen and Emilio Ikaza, it's uncomfortable. We've seen Carlos Harvey starting to come higher and higher. That's where Juan Guerra is looking for Lorenzo Zambrano to start to make an impact. And also, now you're starting to see them move more consistently away from that press with the 1-goal lead. We saw this in the Eastern Conference Final. We've seen it over the course of the season as well, but certainly against Louisville. You just have to be careful because you're going to give more of the ball, but it also allows them to advance themselves and be more comfortable in these transitional moments.
Harvey slide, penalty! A penalty for Phoenix, seeded by Ikaza. And now there's extracurriculars between Ikaza and Harvey. Muse being held off. An enormous game-changing moment. And with the frustration bubbling over, Elton Garcia suddenly has to quell what's become a bit of a riot. There is no VAR for Elton Garcia. So what the fourth official, Natalie Simon, and the ARs saw is what will be.
Again, you find your target 9 and finding a way to play off of him. They haven't been able to get it from the front line. Armenakis comes, Segbers doesn't bite, but he allows this run from Carlos Harvey to come forward. Credit to Emilia Ikaza for getting out here, but watch the drive. He gets the first touch. Beautiful by Carlos Harvey. It's in front of the player. The argument here from the Charleston Battery fans is going to be the fact that Harvey is simulating a little bit, leaning into it. Not a lot there. That's the emotional side for Carlos Harvey. That can be. I'm not sure there's any contact, but that's a beautiful run coming out of the midfield. They wanted it from Zambrano. They get it from Harvey, but what's going to follow is the real question. Touch. It comes with his leg, but there is contact as well. People at home, you think that you're going to say he got the ball. He also protrudes the run and creates contact on the player overall.
They have changed the call after consultation with the AR. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dev. They've deemed this a corner, and the Phoenix players are incensed.
So if they go that route, I told you, if there is some leaning on the simulation side. He does get the ball. That's not the point. It's the fact that the player's already leaning. If he's leaning into it and the player touches the ball, now you're talking about a good tackle. If he comes high, even with the touch and takes him out, you're having a different conversation. But that viewpoint, because of that lean, that's the correct decision.
And Dev, without VAR, you're supposed to discuss with the AR. That's ultimately the best view that they had of that play came from Nick Bolser. So it's a corner, not a penalty. And that is a obviously enormous change of direction. Armenakis, header from Harvey. Worthy, Dev, of another look. This substantially changed this championship final.
Phoenix have to be happy, though, with the build, most importantly. There's the touch. He comes at an angle. Again, from that side, it's difficult to see. He definitely gets a touch on the ball, Emilio Ikaza, and I said coming into the night, the emotional side for Carlos Harvey is the best of both worlds. It can drive you to places to find success. It can also be the deciding factor. You've now put yourself in the forefront of the referee's mind, and certainly in front of the AR on this touchline in front of us. Be very careful that you don't let that get away from you. You're starting to work back into the match. Don't put yourself in a spot to have the referee force their hand and put you down to 10.
Well, does this provide the spark that Phoenix has been looking for? Cortez and JJ, Solo and Drogba, all the attacking prowess over all the years. Phoenix looking for that one goal to pull level. Ball laced inward towards Stenberg, brought down Formella. Muse had to keep that in to ensure no additional set piece. Phoenix preparing to really throw down their best chips off the bench. It's just a matter of seconds perhaps away. Down goes Avila.
Juan Guerra proving that he's fluent in 3 languages. Apologize for some of the atrocities there. Panos Armenakis, he's struggled in this game for Phoenix Rising. And the idea to be able to get him in a comfortable spot down underneath the 9, creating those dueling 10s, and especially when Denny Trejo goes wide, more of an emphasis centrally. Sees the departure of Dark Formella and the addition of Manuel Arteaga. What a luxury you have if you're Phoenix Rising. Struggling for the focal point up top, to be able to take the 4th highest goal scorer in the USL Championship, bring him off the bench. Watch the physical aspect of his game to stretch and push this back line. High work rate, physical, and an aerial threat. Can they get him on the ball?
Trejo navigating brilliantly, lifting down the line for Gallardo. Not to be. A yellow card to Harvey.
You know, the switch by Gallardo, he had bent it and then tried to come back a little bit, but credit. Good move by the back line there. Juan Palma's out of position, but Leland Archer and Mark Segbers, as deep as they were, Archer barked over to him, said step. Segbers listens to his captain and center back, jumps up, and then an offside position once again for one of the wings from Phoenix Rising.
Avila got a yellow card there too. And that's the law, I think, at this point being laid down. Rodriguez. Arturo Rodriguez. Play on. Oh, goodness. Leaning down, there was additional contact from the ground. There's a yellow card for that as well. And now it's a free kick. And the card goes to Fuenmayor.
There's just no reason on the backside to get involved here, and Mo Traore gets spun around. And the body's blocked there. Arturo Rodriguez, good touch, pulls out. Well done by the referee. Simulation. The 10, good move. He tries to initiate contact, pulls out, and then tries to make friends on the backside, and still some extracurriculars at the top of the 18. What's interesting is he's now pulled this back, and he's gonna, I'm blown away. Because
of the contact made on the ground that led to the yellow, that was deemed the foul. He didn't initially point that way. He allowed play to continue. Well, we've seen it before, Dev, from this general neck of the woods. Arturo Rodriguez hit a 5th-minute stunner that in part knocked Louisville out of the postseason. Emilio Icaza has scored 4 goals this year, but all eyes on Arturo, the former Rising star. Arturo Rodriguez ricochets around Martinic, that blocked, and now lifted over the bar.
Third time tonight we've seen a Phoenix Rising player just in front of net of Rocco Rios Novo with a clearance off. Little deflection. And on that kiss that was headed for the bottom corner, wanted the double. Good take by Martinic.
Phoenix entering the penalty area, rolled across, never got to Arteaga. Arteaga, 22 goal contributions this year. The starter for most of the season, coming off the bench in the playoff run. Return to Harvey. Trejo. Ball slapped outside. Cross toward Arteaga, never got there. Settled and lifted out of play by Cuello, who has scored some absolute scorchers in the postseason. He had the winner in the conference semi at Orange County and the conference final at Sacramento. 15 minutes to play tonight. Charleston, 4 titles in their history, 1 in the modern era of the championship, 96, 03, 2010, 2012. And of course, an Open Cup final along the way too. Harvey knocks it outside. Gallardo got the shot away and rips it at Muse, who now is busy. A rare occasion thus far tonight. Thrust upfield, Arteaga would be on side. It's Trejo that would be the problem, and Muse sends that away. Now they do, in fact, deem it offside. Let's go down to Sarah, who caught up with the Charleston staff. Sarah?
I spoke with Charleston coaching staff on how to close a game like this out as it gets more and more chippy and Phoenix keeps trying to score a goal. And the answer is to condense the lines, to get tighter in between, and to not let them break their spaces by playing balls in between. So we'll see how that goes for them.
Thank you, Sarah.
You want to talk about balls in between? They're coming aplenty now because of Arteaga and the 9 and what is the movement down underneath. It still goes back to the emotional side, though, because Cuejo's going to come with the removal of Armanakis. Arteaga is going to try and occupy the 2 center backs, but you have to find a way, Mike, with 15 minutes to go, to make sure that you're not chasing the entirety of the game. You've got to instill some confidence here. Get back on the ball, even just a touch. You're pinned so deep, the physical side you get tired, but mentally you have to stay strong and reestablish.
Can Charleston find the dagger? It's Williams. It's rolling slowly. It's sent away. It's up to Ikaza. He contemplated glory, instead this away from Dodson. Dodson in, Augie Williams holds up, drops back, Markanek. Endline, crossing header! Oh, a reaction save on Rodriguez by Rios Novo! And still it hangs in the balance. Trejo, Arteaga, splayed through, turned back, outside Manjoma. Really deep from Charleston now. Zambrano with a deflection got to Muse. And Palma remains down. Palma saying, I've got the receipts. It's a yellow card issued after the play, but unrelated to the contact. Charleston a 1-0 lead. The goal still holds from the 36th minute of play tonight. And Nick Markanek is 11th of the season, 2nd of the playoffs.
What a ball back across Mark Segber. It's really the first time that he stepped up high, got down into the final third. As good as the ball is, it takes an unfortunate bounce, but class by Markanek. Just drops that shoulder, allows his body to come up over the top of it and redirect down into the bottom corner.
With FC Cincinnati last year. Ball picked up. Markanek helped lead this charge. Rodriguez cutting for Augie Williams. He scored 4 in 6 games coming in tonight. 6 goals all time against Phoenix. That's second most of any individual against Rising. The other, Dane Kelly, the longtime stalwart here in Charleston, the all-time leading scorer, the Great Dane of the championship. It was Queijo who was shown the yellow a moment ago. Joma held off.
What's offended? I mean, Mark Segbers, take a bow. With the support behind him, Eddie Manjoma, you know, Queijo's not happy here, but Eddie Manjoma's got no support. And Mark Segbers just ushering him to the side, using the body positioning and his speed to his advantage, getting in front and closing it down.
Segbers helped to usher that upfield. Stenberg all the way back to Rios Novo. Phoenix preparing their 5th and final sub in a moment. Trying to figure out how to find that equalizer against this Phoenix team that they drew on opening day of the season here in South Carolina. Fuenmayor, Manjoma, pushed ahead by Queijo. Trying to get it by Segbers, did get the cross away. Lands high on Harvey. Markanek. Augie Williams, offside. Those meters count double 82 minutes in defending a lead, right? This is it for Phoenix, their 5th and final unless we get to extra time. Uzo in, Manjoma off. Gareth thought it would be a sub. It would turn the tide tonight. There is still time. This Phoenix team just never lays down. This postseason run, quite the homage to that. Queijo. Corner, Phoenix rising. Painfully ended the San Diego franchise at Torero. They went to Orange County, knocked off the hottest team in the league, knocked off the West #1 Sacramento. Can they equalize? Bouncing ball in. Charleston up to the task. Arturo Rodriguez helps to start it the other way. It's Emilio Icaza. Phoenix has made all 5 of their subs. What's left to be changed for them, if anything at all?
Right now, it's just, you got to maintain belief. This is a second-half team. Phoenix rising throughout the course of the year, and including playoffs. They've failed to score in 24 of 38 games in the first half. Well, 68% of their goals come in the second half. 42 out of 62. They know how to close. They've got quality and depth, but you've got to stay positive and keep your head up. Chances are coming. The space is there. The key factor is decision-making right now. They're still a little slow on the trigger to let the release come. That half second over the course of the night has cost them.
Avila stumbling. Angled to the top, curled at frame, met by Rios Novo. Charleston team win the ball high up the field. This could be the championship moment. Rodriguez, save Rios Novo. Still not done. Ball bounces down. This is Arturo Rodriguez. Icaza! Not yet. Contact all over the place. There's the whistle. Arteaga went down in the middle, Harvey wide.
I mean, someone's going to have to explain to me how neither the challenge on Carlos Harvey or Manuel Arteaga is addressed in that situation.
But
it's frustration by Carlos Harvey, but they missed two right in the middle of the field. Take your time if you're the Battery. Slow things down. Again, the emotional override. Not allow it to come back in. Carlos Harvey taking matters into his own hands against a Chris Allen midfielder for the Charleston Battery that has had himself some kind of night. He and Emilio Icaza have controlled so much for this Charleston Battery team. Defensively, locking down the balls into the 9. Providing that stepping stone, move to the outside, get up to the third level of this attack.
Fans reignited. Some of the air came out of this building on the potential penalty for Phoenix that still looms large. Never got to Trejo. Bypassing Harvey. Zambrano slows it. Rodriguez goes down. Here comes Phoenix. Only to see it knocked down. And back to Stenberg. Zambrano just did clear. Over to Gallardo. Gallardo offering. Archer towering into play. Bounced off of Trejo. Goes without a whistle at all. 2 minutes in stoppage time remaining. This is usually Phoenix's music. Hangs up for Uzo. Navigating through Fuenmayor. Cuello. Central, Zambrano got away. Arturo Rodriguez picks his head up. He's stripped, Allen recovers. Free kick, Phoenix. Won by Arteaga.
Pocket centrally has been much more active. Phoenix rising here in the second half. Great turn by Manuel Arteaga. Arturo Rodriguez just a bit slow. His legs a little bit longer than the opening whistle for former Rising Star.
In comes Robbie Crawford, left from Monterey Bay last year. Came back mid-season, loved it here. The young guys watch him 20 minutes early, leaves 20 minutes late. The consummate pro. Is this the moment for Muse? Is this the moment for Phoenix? Cuello runs over, serves this up top, clipped across. Gallardo knocking it back. Turned away briefly, Gallardo once more. Whips the cross over Harvey. Retained by Rising, there's the cross, hammer down, and in! Unreal! Phoenix on level terms, they did it again! Back from the dead in the 90th minute! And wouldn't you know it, John Stenberg's first for the club! Keeps their title hopes alive.
The guy that controls everything on the back line for Phoenix Rising. They finally get the advanced roll. One would argue Danny Trejo, his involvement, offside position, not part of the play as it comes back to the outside. Just look at the numbers on the back post. That pressure right there. Carlos Harvey just impacts the positioning of Beto Avila and Derek Dodson, so they can't get out quick enough. You reestablish yourself. You get yourself set up to allow an opportunity as this ball comes back in. Stenberg, 6'3", rising up, igniting this Phoenix team. 68% of their goals, second half in that nature, and we're back to square one.
1-1, 4 added minutes. John Stenberg, his 17th appearance, his 16th start. Work visa kept him out for months. He totally reinvigorated their defense mid-season, and now he's provided that little bit of offense right at the end to keep Phoenix alive.
Let's be clear, the back line possessionally has been atrocious for Phoenix Rising. We can put the emphasis on Traore, Stenberg, or Fuenmayor, but they have not been good possessionally, trying to establish themselves as the first line of contact. So they can beat the first player, it's been a turnover. It's the ball to the outside, unaccepted, inefficient, trying to link up top, and yet to claw yourself back in. That's incredible. That's the emotional override that you were looking for, to stay steady and no matter what, maintain belief. At the dying embers, the fire lights bright once again.
They led for 55 minutes. Now Charleston defending for their life. Cuejo around the outside, cut it back. Arteaga whips across, never got through. Oh, it could have been a winner with 2 minutes to play. Phoenix applying all the pressure to avoid extra time. Trejo, all through, all the way through and out. If you're Charleston, you are 1,000,000% trying to get back to the huddle and extra time with 106 to go in regulation, right?
You got to take the breath out of the game. That's where they're at right now. Even with all the changes that have been made, we've got Robbie Crawford in, right? We've seen Beto Avila added to the mix, switch on the wings that tactically you're hoping is going to infuse some energy into it, but there are a lot of tired legs on this team right now for the Charleston Battery. You need an extended conversation with Ben Pierman on how you're going to attack the rest of this game. But you're assuming that there's going to be overtime. There's still seconds here for this Phoenix team that they feel like they've got the better run. With the wide open spaces, they look more dangerous right now.
Kept away from Ikaza. Simply remarkable. Foul, Stenberg. Phoenix scoring in the final 5 minutes of regulation to win in the first round and of extra time in the second and third to win. And now an equalizer in the 90th. If you are Rios Novo, if you are Phoenix, you're concerned about what right now?
Any ball played into the box, Mike. It's that simple. You just got to stay. You have to stay organized. You know, keep the taller boys in front of you. Find the back shoulder runs. You can shield guys front and back like Leland Archer. They're doing it with Cuejo and Fuenmayor. Do not allow this ball to hit the ground.
Emilio Ikaza. Ball bouncing in front, handled by Rios Novo as the final seconds tick away. Is there anything left here for Phoenix? They sprint into the attack. And we are going to